Resume rejection reasons, part 2. So an average job posting gets about 250 applicants, and according to these sources, about 75% of them are rejected at the Applicant Tracking System at the ATS stage. That means only about the top 25% of candidates actually make it onto not even the interview to actually the in-person screening. So that means over 180 applicants are rejected and less than 70 are actually screened in person by the HR manager or their recruiter. And since they can't interview everyone, another 80 to 90% of these resumes are rejected. That means only about 5 to 10 are interviewed. Well, that's a pretty slim number, isn't it? Of 240 applicants, over 200 and of 250 applicants, over 240 are rejected, and tons of people are getting rejection emails like this every single day. So in part 1, I explained 4 different reasons why resumes are getting rejected. I am Professor Job Offer, and I've spent the last 10 years with a number of Forbes Global 2000 companies and have helped people land jobs and interviews at companies like this, including Google and Amazon. And I'm here to share with you 4 more reasons on why resumes are getting rejected. So reason number 5 is because some candidates are just overqualified. 2 different meanings for overqualification. First of which is the experience. It means you have too much experience for what the job is asking for, or you have too much education. So what do I mean by this? On the job posting, you're going to be able to find some information on what kind of qualifications the company is looking for. So this one is this particular position is asking for a designated Canadian CPA, an accountant with 3 to 4 years of experience. But if you have like 10 or 15 years of experience, well, you have too much and you are overqualified. Here's another example. So this position is looking for somebody that has 2 to 4 years of experience in business development. Of course, that's an ideal candidate, but if you happen to have a lot more than that, well, then you are overqualified. And I'm going to explain why overqualification is not ideal from the company's perspective. The second reason is because of education background. So this is from Google's job posting actually, and Google is looking for somebody who is pursuing a bachelor's or a master's degree in quantitative field. So first of which, if you're not pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree, or if you are pursuing something much higher like a PhD, well, you are overqualified. Here's another one. This one actually highlights both experience and education. It says bachelor's degree from a 4-year college or university. Of course, if you have something beyond that, well, you are deemed overqualified. And this job posting actually even shows how much you could potentially earn from this position. So why is overqualification not ideal? Well, first of which, the company thinks there is a high potential for turnover, which means you'll quit because you don't find the job very challenging if you're overqualified and you have too much experience for it. And it costs a lot of money to train and to onboard people. Secondly, salary expectations. An individual who has a lot more experience in education is going to naturally have higher salary expectations. Third, because of the amount of experience, knowledge, perhaps the know-hows that an individual has, they may not follow directions and procedures as much as somebody who is less experienced or has a little less education background. And from the hiring perspective, the employer may think that an individual, the candidate may have other motives. It's like, oh, if they have so much experience and education, why are they applying for something that is much lower? And lastly, of course, all this kind of builds into lacking synergy with the team, since in most jobs you'll be working with others. Okay, that brings us to reason number 6. And this one's probably the hardest one, actually, because some things are just out of your control. And what I mean by this is are external factors, like a competitive job market. We've had, in recent times, we've had situations where it was just a very tough job market, where it wasn't an average of 250 applications, it was like 400 plus applications because of a competitive job market. So that's probably why your resume was getting rejected. Another reason is because of internal hiring. Some companies have hundreds, if not thousands, of employees, and so that means they may be able to fill the position internally instead of hiring somebody from outside. And this is actually quite uncommon, but it does happen as well. Sometimes companies just close the job posting because they feel like they don't need to fill that position anymore, or they just get rid of that role. Take a look at this. This is from the Alberta Health Services. This is from the government, and the highlighted part says, on behalf of AHS, we would like to inform you that the above noted requisition has been cancelled, which means, hey, well, we posted something, but we're gonna cancel this job posting or requisition. And another reason is because they look at your resume and they don't think you are culturally fit So maybe perhaps the company does a lot of like donations and community service, and you don't show any of that on your resume. You don't have any experiences of volunteering or giving back to community, and they don't think you may be culturally fit. Another reason is because of background. Perhaps they hired the last 4-5 people that the company hired is from the exact same university and same major as you, and they don't want it to seem like it's a bias by always hiring from the same pool. So perhaps that's why they reject your resume, or it's because of ethnic background as well. So all those are kind of external factors that may build into something that is just out of your control on why your resume is rejected. Another reason is because of an experience gap. This is one of the biggest reasons why companies reject resumes as well. I'm talking about anything that's more than 6 months, and companies don't really prefer that. And 6+ months of experience gap because either because of personal or family matters, or their parental leaves, have a baby and such, or for medical complications, or because of the pandemic, which is actually a great excuse that we can use. And another reason is perhaps because of termination. You had a hard time finding a job, because people get laid off and furloughed all the time, and perhaps you're going through a career change or training that took more than 6 months, or sometimes people are in jail, in penitentiary, or in prison. So I'm gonna have a video soon coming up on about how to handle the experience gaps on your resume or CV. So stay tuned for that. And that brings us to the final reason for this video, the reason number 8. And before I dive in, I just want to make it clear that resume is an objective summary of your skills and experiences. Okay, it's an objective summary of your skills and experiences. So remember, it's a summary. You don't want to put too much information, but some people do, because they just don't have the guidance or knowledge. And too much information can also be divided into 2 different categories. I'm talking about the unnecessary information and personal information. So what do I mean by unnecessary information? Well, unnecessary information are anything that really doesn't add much value to your resume, such as references available upon request. Yeah, we get that. And if they're interested, they'll ask you anyways. So you don't need to add that. Maybe 10-15 years ago, it was a norm to put it on your resume. These days, no longer required. It just takes up too much, takes up the little space that you have from one page. And another one, objective statement. Hopefully you know that you submit your resume to get a job, so you don't need to say objective statement to get a job with this company. Do not need to state that as well. And remember, it's an objective summary, so you don't need to detail every single job that you've ever had. You're only going to be listing the relevant positions and jobs that you had to the position you're applying for. You have one page. You have maximum 500 to 600 words to write as much as you can. So another one, salary expectations. This will be discussed much later through the hiring, the onboarding hiring process, so you don't need to put all that, and that's just going to waste a lot of very valuable space on a single page resume. So these are unnecessary information that adds no value. And I also briefly mentioned the personal information. Oh, what do I mean by this? Another one here, mailing address. You don't even know who's going to be reading your resume and whose hands it's going to end up in. So you don't want to put your exact PO box and mailing address. Just put your city, or just the state or the province. And another one, irrelevant social media profiles and websites. It's great that some of you have LinkedIn, but if you have nothing on there, what's the point of putting it on? And if you have a website, and if it's presentable, if it's professional, yeah, definitely recommend it. But if it's irrelevant, then you probably don't want to have that on there. Same thing, personal details. What do I mean by personal details? I'm talking about the marital status, how many like whether you live with your dog, or your nationality, religion, and all that. It's unnecessary. And any irrelevant or extraordinary hobbies and interests. Yeah, it's great to have some unique hobbies that you can relate to and talk about, and demonstrate that you've developed skills in. But if you put things like gun collecting or like hunting, well, unless you're applying for a firearms company, it's a bit intimidating. So just be careful with what kind of hobbies and interests you put on. So yeah. Well, let's quickly recap. Well, 75% of all resumes are rejected, and from there, another 80 to 90% are rejected, and only 5 to 10 are invited in for an interview. That's a very slim number. So in this video, we took a look at 4 reasons why over 240 resumes are rejected for every job posting. The reason number 5 was because of overqualification. It's because you have too much experience, or because an individual has too much education. And another Remember, overqualification is not ideal for a number of different reasons, one of which was because of a potential for high turnover. Reason number 6 was, some things are just out of your control. Remember, the job market could just be competitive, or sometimes a company decides that they no longer need to fill that position. They just close the job posting like this. Another reason is because of a long experience gap. That could be due to a number of different reasons, but anything more than 6 months. And remember, I'm going to have a video on that shortly. And reason number 8, maybe an individual is just putting too much information that's unnecessary, that takes up a lot of valuable space, and you're just putting too much personal information there. And if you want to know more, there is a part 1 of the video where I discuss 4 other reasons on why resumes are rejected. Well, I'm Professor Job Offer, and here to help you land your next job. Thanks for watching.